Congress. Please join me in welcoming Rachel Reeves MP, Chancellor of the Exchequer, to address Congress.
Thank you. Thank you for that welcome. Thank you, Barbara, and thank you, Gary, for the leadership that you show to our union and to our movement. It's great to be back in Brighton, and it's a privilege to be back at the GMB Congress as a proud member of the GMB Union. Congress, I especially want to thank you all here for the tireless work that the GMB representatives do in so many workplaces. I know how difficult the last few years has been for many members. From the pandemic through the cost of living crisis, working people paid the price for the Conservatives' failure, for their austerity, for their undermining of our public services, and for Liz Truss's fantasy economics. Never let anyone forget what the Conservatives did to our country. Never trust them again with our health service, with our schools, or with British industry. I know that your members have had to pick up the pieces, and so has this Labour government. But we are making different choices. To put more money in the pockets of working people, we are making Labour choices. And the choice in October to give a pay rise to 3 million workers of up to £1,400 a year by raising the national living wage, a national minimum wage created by Labour, raised by Labour too, together with amending the remit of the Low Pay Commission, so that for the first time, the living wage will take into account the cost of living. The choice of our Employment Rights Bill, the biggest upgrade to workers' rights in a generation, a key part of our plan to make work pay for working people. Banning exploitative zero-hour contracts and unscrupulous fire and rehire practices, strengthening sick pay and bringing the outdated, unfair, conflictual industrial relations framework that we inherited from the Conservatives into the 21st century. That is the choice that this government is making. And another choice, one that I know was very close to the heart of our former president, the late, great Mary Turner. Our decision announced last week to extend free school meals to an extra 500,000 kids, to save working families up to 500 years and lift 100,000 children out of poverty. That is the difference a Labour government makes. That is a testament to Mary's campaigning. Now, I know that there is another political party which will tell your members that they have working people's interests at heart. So remember this and tell it to the people that you work with. While Labour is levelling up workers' rights, Nigel Farage and Reform opposed the Employment Rights Bill. While Labour is investing in our National Health Service, Nigel Farage and Reform want to privatise our National Health Service. And while Labour is investing in security for our nation and for our allies, Nigel Farage and Reform are not on the side of the heroic people of Ukraine. They're on Russia's side instead. That's Reform, tough on workers, tough on patients, but soft on Putin. Congress, we are making progress. It is just one quarter, but the most recent numbers showed that Britain to be the fastest growing economy in the G7. 4 cuts to interest rates since August last year, saving working families taking out a new mortgage hundreds of pounds every year. And real wages have risen more in the first 10 months of this Labour government than they did in the first 10 years of the last Conservative government. Now, I know that not enough working people are yet feeling that progress. And that's what tomorrow's spending review is all about. Making working people better off. Investing in our security. investing in our health, investing in our economy. This government is going for growth because that is the best way to create jobs, boost wages, lift people out of poverty and sustainably fund our schools and our hospitals and all the public services we rely on. And we're doing things differently. Because unlike the Tories, I don't think that the only good thing that a government can do is get out of the way. I believe in an active government, working alongside industry and trade unions to drive our shared prosperity. That is why we will be publishing our modern industrial strategy later this month. An industrial strategy based on genuine partnership between government, industry and trade unions. And that is why tomorrow we will be allocating an extra £113 billion of investment, maintaining public investment at its highest sustained levels since the 1970s. And unlike the Tories, I know that we can't build a strong economy on the contribution of just a few people, a few industries, or a few parts of our country. We're going for growth, growth in every part of our country, with the benefits felt in every part of our country. So we are investing right across Britain. That's why I was pleased to announce last week the biggest ever investment, £15.6 billion, in transport links within our city regions and their surrounding towns. Better linking up Liverpool with St Helens, Manchester with Rochdale, Sheffield with Rotherham, Leeds with Bradford and Birmingham with Solihull. And tomorrow there will be more. We promised investment in every part of Britain, and that is what I will deliver tomorrow. And Congress, I know the contribution your members make to the defence of our country, in aerospace, in defence and in shipbuilding. And I know that the first duty of any government is to keep our citizens safe. Today we live in a dangerous world where new threats demand a new response. So we are investing in the defence of our country and in the strength of our defence industry, in the good union jobs that come with it, and in the communities that rely on them. Bringing defence spending up to 2.6% of GDP within 2 years. Investing in a battle-ready nation supported by homegrown technologies. And investing in British jobs and British industry, including the investments that we have set out today in our nuclear defence, in Plymouth and in Derby, in Barrow and in the Clyde. If you want a taste of what that can mean for working class communities, look at our plan for Barrow. Good, proud work for people in Barrow, building Britain's nuclear submarines, providing training and opportunities for our young people, decent pay that flows back into the local economy and high street, and a partnership between the Labour Council, this Labour government and BAE Systems to invest in the regeneration of the town centre. Pride in your work, pride in your community, a strong Britain with strong defences, resting on the talent, the effort and the prosperity of working people. But security does not stop with our armed forces. It is about making sure that in a world where energy prices were sent spiralling by events in another part of the world, or fragile international supply chains can be easily disrupted, that we must be a more self-sufficient nation. And we have been reminded so forcefully in recent years, energy security is national security. I know Gary and the GMB have always understood that. And so because it is the right choice for jobs and for the cost of living, because it is the right choice for economic growth, and because it is the right choice for energy security, I can announce today to you that this Labour government is investing in the biggest rollout of nuclear power in a generation. This government is giving our full backing to the Sizewell C nuclear plant, providing £14.2 billion of additional funding for the first directly state-funded nuclear power station since 1988, producing the energy to power 6 million homes, employing 10,000 people, supporting thousands more jobs across the UK, including 1,500 apprenticeships, and putting hundreds of millions of pounds into the supply chain. And that's not all, Congress. Because this government backs British innovation, and because the potential for faster, cleaner, cheaper energy is there, we will be backing new small modular reactors, investing in that technology and in the rapid deployment of fusion technology, backing our world-leading fusion plant in Nottinghamshire, providing a route for private sector-led advanced nuclear projects to be deployed here in the UK, bringing those jobs to Britain. The International Energy Agency estimates that the small modular reactor market will be worth up to £500 billion by 2050. So if we want those jobs, we want that wealth, and we want to lead the world, then we must act today. And we are. To start, that means investing £2.5 billion to enable one of the world's first small modular reactor programmes, supporting 3,000 jobs in the East Midlands in the process. A first step towards our ambition for a full fleet of small modular reactors across our country. And I can tell you today that following a 2-year competition, we have selected the preferred company to partner with Great British Nuclear to develop small modular reactors. That preferred partner is Rolls-Royce, a great British business based in Derby. And Congress, I can tell you now that taken together, tomorrow's spending review sets out over £30 billion of investment in Britain's nuclear-powered future. Friends, this Labour government is launching a new era of nuclear power here in Britain. And as we build for transport, for jobs, for energy, that will mean jobs in British supply chains for our young people. Today's announcements are another step towards that great British nuclear ambition to make sure 70% of its future fleet is made here with homegrown content. We've already taken steps to modernise our approach to public procurement, with simpler rules and a focus on growth here at home. And we will look to go even further to reform and streamline those procurement processes. And because our industrial ambitions rely on the ambitions and the talents of our young people, we will break down the barriers that those young people face in getting the skills and opportunities they want and deserve. And a strong national economy, investing in new nuclear, new transport, new military hardware will mean something else too. New orders for steel. Steel made in Britain. In April, as a government, we faced a choice: to allow British Steel in Scunthorpe to go under, or to intervene in a way that British governments have been too reluctant to do for far too long. I was not prepared to tolerate a situation in which Britain's steel capacity was fundamentally undermined, in which our infrastructure, our industries, our security would become dependent on imported steel. And I was not prepared to see another working-class community lose the pride, lose the prosperity and the dignity that industry provides. So this Labour government intervened to save British Steel and the thousands of jobs that go with it. And I can tell you today that the package that I have set out will provide more than £420 million of additional funding for Sheffield Forgemasters for the production of nuclear-grade steel for our nuclear ambitions. Thriving steel, thriving defence and thriving energy industries, with Made in Britain a mark of quality around the world. Industries that bring pride, industries that bring good work, and wages that flow back onto our high streets and into our communities. Once again, things made in Britain, things made to last. Congress, I know whose side I am on. I know whose side this government is on. We promised you a government in the service of working people, a government backing Britain's industry, backing Britain's jobs and backing Britain's workers. Consider that a promise made and a promise kept. Thank you, Congress.
Rachel. Rachel, thank you for your speech. We will now move to questions from delegates in the hall. First, we'll hear from Anne Weeks from the London region, followed by Lee Burgess from the North West and Irish region.
Hi, Anne Weeks, London Region, Chair of Ability, London Region Disabled Self-Organised Group. Proposed welfare reforms will push over 3 million households into greater financial hardship, including 800,000 losing access to personal independence payments, 150,000 losing carers allowance, and over 2 million seeing reductions in health-related universal credit. This is wrong. Will the government listen and think again?
Thank you for that question. We are in a situation today where, despite the number of people in work rising in almost every country in the world since the pandemic, people of working age out of work, economically inactive, is increasing in Britain. And the last Conservative government didn't do nearly enough to support people, including people with sickness and disability challenges, back into work. And that's why we promised in the spring statement a few weeks ago to put £1 billion into supporting people into work. We know that with the right support, there are millions of people who would like to work, who can work, and with the support would be able to get back into work. So alongside the changes we're making, which will still see the number of people on personal independence payments increase during this Parliament, we'll still see the amount of money spent on sickness and disability benefits increase in this Parliament, that we will support people as well to get back into work. But the current system that we have today is not sustainable. And I want to ensure that the welfare state is there for future generations. But to do that, we do need to make sure that everyone who can work is given the support and the dignity that work can provide for so many people. And so, of course, we will always protect those who can't work, but more needs to be done to fulfil the ambitions of people with disabilities themselves to get back into work and have a career and a vocation that they can be proud of and contribute to their finances and also the nation's finances.
Thank you. And apologies, it's Keir Wilson from North West and Irish region.
Hi, Keir Wilson, North West and Irish region. The government's increased investment in defence is very welcome, but it must be matched by action to grow the skilled workforce our national security depends on. What guarantees can the government give that will prioritise UK-based jobs and apprenticeships, particularly in places like Barrow?
Yeah. Thank you for that question, and that is exactly what we want to do as a government. As I said in my speech, as we invest in transport, in defence, in energy, we want to make sure that those jobs are here in Britain and that we're giving opportunities for our young people. And I'm going to set out more detail around further education and apprenticeship funding tomorrow to ensure that young people have those opportunities to get access to those jobs that we are creating, good jobs that pay decent wages, unionised jobs with rights, and that's what we're going to do. So I've set out the industries that we're going to be backing in my speech today to you at the GMB, and tomorrow I'll be setting out how we're going to use government procurement, apprenticeships and skills to make sure that those jobs go to young people in this country who deserve a chance.
Thank you, Rachel. Next, we'll hear from Sharon Yates from the Midlands region and Kim Inglis from the North East Yorkshire and Humber region.
Hi, Rachel. I'm Sharon Yates from the Midlands region, and I'm a proud working class woman from the pottery industry. And please, please listen very carefully to this question, because it's very, very important. The UK has become the highest industry energy prices in Europe. In the Midlands, businesses are closing everywhere and skilled workers are losing their jobs. The potteries are being smashed. When will the government take urgent action to bring down the energy costs for the industry and protect jobs in British manufacturing?
Yeah. Sharon, I absolutely... I absolutely get the point that you make, Sharon, and people in this room will know that it is ceramics, it is steel, it is cement, it is agriculture. It is a whole range of sectors where energy prices are making our British businesses uncompetitive with our counterparts around Europe, where energy prices for industry are lower. Now, we're going to be setting out the spending review tomorrow, but a couple of weeks after that, myself and Johnny Reynolds, the Business Secretary, will be announcing our industrial strategy focused on those 8 key sectors, but we will absolutely come forward with a plan to ensure that our intensive energy industries in the UK, including the potteries industries in Stoke and other parts of the Midlands, can be competitive and can succeed in this tough environment. So I absolutely understand what you're saying. We are focused on it as a government, and you'll hear more on that later this month.
Kim Inglis from Sunderland, from the North East Yorkshire and Humber region. The Employment Rights Bill is a big step forward for workers, but it must be just the beginning. My region's running many of equal pay campaigns, 50 years after the Equal Pay Act, and as the first woman Chancellor, will you finally finish the job started by Barbara Castle and make equal pay a reality?
Well, thank you very much for that question, and it's a campaign very close to my heart. It's now 55 years since Barbara Castle introduced that equal pay legislation, and yet the pay gap between men and women is still around 15%. And I'm not willing to wait decades more before we actually achieve that ambition of Barbara Castle and the people she campaigned alongside, including the Ford workers at Dagenham, until we actually achieve equal pay. I said that in my first speech when I became Chancellor of the Exchequer. It's why we are doing things like the Employment Rights Bill. It's why we are increasing the national minimum wage and the national living wage. It's why we're rolling out better childcare, properly funded childcare, so that more parents, but it is particularly mums, can balance work and family life. It's why we're rolling out free breakfast clubs at all primary schools, so parents, and again it is particularly mums, can work more hours or do a job a little bit further away from their kids' school. So it is something that on a personal level means a huge amount to me, and I am determined to be the Chancellor that closes that gender pay gap once and for all. Thank you for your question.
Chancellor, thank you. We know what a busy week this is for you, and although there may be some differences between us, the announcement on Sizewell is so important to our union and our members and shows what we can achieve together. Thank you so much for taking your time to be with us at Congress today.